Welcome to The Vanishing Aisle, the podcast where we explore the stories that emerge at the intersection of media, power, and difference, and the people who feel those impacts the most. I'm your host, Caitlin Madsen. If you walk into almost any major retail store today, you'll find racks dedicated to plus size, petite, tall, juniors, and athleisure, every niche the industry can imagine. But try finding one for one of those most universal human experiences: pregnancy. Maternity aisles are disappearing, even in the midst of what retailers call body inclusive revolution. This week on the Vanishing Aisle, we're taking a closer look at why the fashion industry seems to have quietly decided that pregnant women don't exist. For the past 5 years, maternity wear on social media has looked glamorous, effortless, almost too easy. Pregnancy, according to the influencers and celebrities, no longer requires its own clothing category. Instead, everything from bodycon dresses to oversized button-downs is sold as bump-friendly. And this shift is not accidental. A Harper's Bazaar Arabia article on celebrity maternity style puts it bluntly: Rihanna and other A-listers have changed pregnancy dressing by replacing traditional maternity wear with unconventional looks that prioritize visibility and fashion over function. This aesthetic, praised online, has become the dominant message. Pregnancy should look bold, curated, and styled, not necessarily comfortable or practical. That curated image online doesn't reflect the experience of most pregnant women. Not everyone can or wants to work, commute, attend medical appointments, or take care of other children while squeezing into non-maternity clothes that are supposed to stretch. And for anyone who works in a professional environment, a crop top over unbuttoned jeans is simply not an option. What started as a social media trend quickly became justification for retail cutting costs. If influencers can make everyday clothes look like maternity wear, why should stores bother dedicating shelf space to a specialty category? According to the Times, retailers are calling maternity wear too niche, claiming that the demand isn't high enough to justify the inventory. As fashion writer Harriet Roger explains, maternity clothing isn't being pushed out not because women no longer need it, but because retailers no longer want to stock it. But the need hasn't vanished. Pregnant bodies still change. Comfort still matters. And trying clothes on is still essential when your body evolves unpredictably every few weeks. Retailers, however, are following the numbers. Maternity wear is a small category that turns over slowly. It doesn't produce high returns. It requires fitting rooms and employee support. And the more online culture suggests that you don't need maternity clothes, the easier it becomes for companies to walk away from offering them. This isn't just a market shift, it's an accessibility issue. Wealthier consumers can order from maternity-specific brands, experiment with online sizing, and absorb the hit when something doesn't fit. But working and middle-class women cannot. The Philadelphia Inquirer documented this divide years before the trend escalated. In their coverage of the decline of the in-store maternity options, journalist Ellie Silverman noted that the downfall of brick-and-mortar maternity retailers has left more working moms-to-be without affordable professional clothing that they can try on in person. That was in 2019. Since then, availability has only worsened. For many pregnant women, especially those who are already facing economic pressure, online trial and error shopping is not a realistic solution. When an item arrives and it doesn't fit, it costs time, money, and energy, three resources that quickly evaporate during pregnancy. And I can tell you personally, this story matters to me because I'm pregnant right now. I'm living this experience, walking into stores only to find a single rack of clearance leggings, or more than often, nothing at all. What used to be a standard accommodation for pregnant shoppers has quietly become a luxury. At first glance, the disappearance of maternity clothes from retail shelves seems more like a simple business decision. But when you look more closely at it, it becomes a story about how media reshapes reality. Not just how we look, but how companies decide what we need. Influencer culture is built on performance of ease, perfect lighting, perfect angles, pregnancy as an aesthetic rather than a lived physical state. And as the documentary Fake Famous demonstrates, social media influence isn't organic, it's manufactured. Visibility can be bought, trends can be engineered, authenticity can be staged. So, when influencers claim that all you need is a stretchy dress and confidence, that message is amplified not because it reflects real life experiences, but because the system financially rewards trends that are cheap to produce and easy to glamorize. Retailers respond to those signals. They follow what they believe women want, based on public visibility, not private reality. And the result? Pregnant women lose access to something basic, something practical, something that should never disappeared in the first place. That's all for today for this episode of The Vanishing Aisle. In our next episode, we'll dig deeper into retail decision making, explore how companies justify eliminating maternity sections, and why these decisions disproportionately affect certain women more than others. If you face challenges finding maternity clothes in stores, I'd love to hear your story. You can reach out through our website or social channels. I'm Caitlin Madsen, and this has been The Vanishing Aisle. Thank you for listening.